My hands tremble as I clutch my worn copy of Charlotte's Web, tears blurring the familiar cover. Around me, my books and treasures lie jumbled in cardboard boxes, the collection of a childhood suddenly deemed inconvenient. I trace the spine where the binding has started to fray, just like my connection to this house. "Mom?" My voice catches. "What's happening to my stuff?" Mom sweeps into my bedroom. No. My former bedroom, her silk blouse rustling as she moves. She's been redecorating all week, transforming my sky blue walls to a delicate lavender. The mural of flying birds that Dad painted when I was 7 has vanished beneath primer and expensive paint. "There you are, Cassia." She glances at the book in my hands, her lips tightening. "I told you yesterday we're preparing the nursery. Your sister needs a proper room." "But where will I sleep?" The question hangs between us, though I already suspect the answer won't be kind. Mom checks her diamond tennis bracelet, a gift from Corbett. "We've prepared a space for you downstairs. It's cozy." She leads me through the mansion's winding hallways, her heels clicking against marble floors that never quite felt like home. We pass the grand staircase, continue past the kitchen, and stop at a narrow door near the garage entrance. When she opens it, my stomach drops. The laundry room, 60 square feet of cement floor, cinder block walls, and the ever-present hum of the water heater. A twin bed has been wedged against one wall, my desk crammed beside it. The washer and dryer still dominate the room, metal sentinels guarding my exile. "It's just temporary, Cassia." Mom straightens a stack of my folded clothes on the dryer. "Don't be so dramatic, this house needs to reflect our new status." Status. The word that replaced love in our vocabulary 2 years ago. Dad and I had lived in a small craftsman house with a wildflower garden and kitchen walls plastered with my artwork. Then Mom met Corbett Langley at a charity auction. 6 months later, she packed her bags, and mine too. "Your father and I want different things," she'd explained while folding designer clothes into monogrammed suitcases. "Corbett understands ambition." Our move to his 6-bedroom Savannah mansion happened so quickly I left my favorite sneakers behind. The first time I mentioned Dad's sign painting business at dinner, Corbett's eyebrow arched so high it nearly disappeared into his hairline. Mom changed the subject, her cheeks flushed pink. After that, she winced whenever I mentioned anything about our before life, as if my childhood had become her embarrassing secret. I stand in my new bedroom, listening to the washing machine's rhythmic sloshing, a sound that will become my nightly lullaby. "Can I live with Dad instead?" I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. Mom's face hardens. She tugs at her pearl earring, a nervous habit from before designer clothes and country club memberships. "Your father can barely feed himself with his sign painting nonsense." The words slice through me. Dad's hands might be paint-stained, but they're gentle. He taught me to mix colors until they sing, and to find beauty in peeling storefronts and weathered barns. "Think of all you have here, Cassia. Opportunities. A future." Mom gestures vaguely around the mansion neither of us can call home with conviction. After she leaves, I unpack one box. From between 2 books, I pull out the small landscape Dad painted for my 9th birthday, rolling hills, dotted with wildflowers beneath a cerulean sky. I hang it on the cinder block wall opposite my bed, a window to a world where I still belong. 6 months later, baby Vesper arrives. I discover the family photos in the living room have been rearranged. The ones with me have disappeared, leaving pristine frames displaying Mom, Corbett, and Vesper's family they want the world to see. "Stay quiet when you come inside," Mom instructs me after school one day, "and make yourself useful. Corbett's business associates are visiting." I nod, understanding the message beneath her words. I am the living reminder of her embarrassing past, the daughter who doesn't match the Persian rugs and crystal chandeliers. As I slip through the kitchen toward my laundry room, Vesper's delighted squeal echoes from the front parlor, followed by Mom's melodic laughter, a sound I barely recognize anymore. 5 years later, after living with my mom, it's time for changes again, though it comes as a storm. One day, my pencil snaps between my fingers as the words float from the kitchen into the hallway where I'm studying. "We're wasting money on Cassia when we have real expenses coming up." Corbett's voice carries the casual dismissal of someone discussing an outdated appliance. "Vesper's private school deposit is due next month." "I've been thinking about that." Mom's voice drops lower, but not enough. "Gideon's been asking to see her more. Maybe it's time she lived with him. Save space and money." The broken pencil pieces dig into my palm. At 14, I finally understand the truth about my temporary laundry room. 5 years of listening to the washing machine's midnight cycles wasn't a stopgap measure, it was the plan all along. I gather my textbooks silently, each movement deliberate so they won't hear me, and retreat to my converted utility closet, the space that never grew larger even as I did. Cassia, come set the table. Mom's voice rings through the intercom system Corbett installed after complaining about having to shout through the mansion. At dinner, Mom stands serving food to Corbett, who examines each portion with the scrutiny he reserves for investment properties. I sit at the far end of the cherrywood table, practically in another zip code from their conversation. Is it true? 7-year-old Vesper bounces in her chair, blonde curls catching the chandelier light. Is Cassia really leaving? Can I have her room for my toys? My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. What? Mom sets down the serving spoon, her pearl bracelet clicking against the porcelain. We were going to discuss this after dinner, but since Vesper brought it up. She glances at Corbett, who nods without looking up from his plate. We think it would be best for everyone if you lived with your father. She arranges her words carefully, like decorative pillows on a sofa nobody sits on. It's a chance to really know him. Finances are tight right now, Corbett adds, the statement absurd beneath the gleam of his new Rolex. Just yesterday, he'd spread yacht brochures across this very table, circling features with a gold pen. I stare at Mom, waiting for her to meet my eyes, but she busies herself refilling Corbett's water glass, wiping imaginary spots from the table's edge, straightening the silverware anything to avoid looking at me. When? My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Before the new school year. Mom finally looks in my direction, though her gaze settles somewhere beyond my shoulder. We'll continue paying for Sanderson Academy, of course, provided there's no trouble. The unspoken threat hangs in the air between us. Your father misses you, she adds, her voice softening with practiced concern. Don't you want him to be happy? The manipulation is so transparent I almost laugh, as if she's ever cared about Dad's happiness. And you'll still see us at family gatherings, she continues, though we all know which gatherings I'll suddenly stop being invited to. This is what's best for everyone. Best for everyone except me. I calculate my losses. My few remaining friends at school, the familiar route to the bookstore where I work weekends, even the predictable rhythm of the laundry machines I've grown accustomed to. When should I pack? I ask, pushing my barely touched dinner away. This weekend would be ideal. Corbett checks his watch as if my displacement is another appointment to manage. The contractor needs to measure for Vesper's new storage system. Not even a week to dismantle what's left of my life here. The message couldn't be clearer if they'd written it on my bedroom wall, the one I never really had. I am a burden to be discarded, not a daughter to be cherished. 3 days later, Dad's weathered pickup truck pulls into the circular driveway, looking desperately out of place among the manicured hedges and imported stone fountains. He steps out, tall and paint-splattered as always, and for the first time in years, I feel something like hope. I brought you something. He opens the truck bed to reveal a vintage bookshelf, its oak finish gleaming in the morning light. Restored it myself. Thought you might need a place for your books. As I pack my few belongings, clothes, books, the small painting Dad made me a question turns over in my mind. Should I confront Mom about her true motives, force her to acknowledge what she's doing? Or would walking away quietly show more strength than demanding answers from someone who stopped seeing me years ago? What would you do when facing someone who's already decided you don't matter? In weeks to come, the rumors ripple through our extended family like a stone dropped in still water. Cassia chose to live with her father. Mom tells Aunt Joanne at Thanksgiving, her voice carrying just enough for me to hear from the kitchen. She wanted a simpler life, away from all the pressure. I grip the serving spoon tighter and focus on the sweet potatoes I'm dishing onto a platter. The lie settles between my shoulder blades like a cold hand. I didn't choose this displacement. I was boxed up and relocated like furniture that no longer matched the decor. Such a shame, Aunt Joanne murmurs, not bothering to lower her voice. A girl needs her mother. My cheeks burn. Dad taught me that sometimes silence is the most dignified response, but dignity feels like cold comfort when everyone believes you've rejected your own mother. The invitations dwindle after that. First Christmas at Grandma Wilson's happens without us. Then Easter brunch. By summer, my 16th birthday party invitation mysteriously gets lost in the mail for the 3rd consecutive year. They're planning something special just for the 4 of us, Dad says, trying to soften the blow when I check the mailbox every day for 2 weeks straight. But we both know better. Dad's apartment can barely contain us both. The living room transforms into my bedroom each night, the sofa unfolding into a bed that leaves exactly 18 inches of walking space. I stack my clothes in plastic bins that slide under the sofa during daytime hours, a daily ritual of appearing and disappearing. The part-time job at Haverford Books keeps me in school supplies and helps with groceries when Dad's sign painting business hits slow periods. 3 afternoons and every Saturday, I arrange new releases on shelves, catalog used book donations, and balance the register at closing time. Homework happens during quiet afternoon lulls, my textbooks spread across the checkout counter. On nights when Dad works late, finishing storefront signs after business hours, I cook dinner from our carefully planned grocery list. Chicken thighs stretch further than breasts. Rice and beans become 3 different meals with different spices. I track every expense in a small notebook, calculating the weekly average down to the penny. What I don't track is the weight that settles across my chest each time I see Vesper's ballet recitals documented on Mom's social media. Or the way my throat tightens when Dad asks if I want to invite friends over, knowing there isn't room for anyone else in our cramped space. I learned to swallow these feelings like bitter medicine quickly, with minimal fuss, focusing instead on what needs doing next. "You're remarkably self-sufficient, Mrs. Haverford says one afternoon, watching me calculate book order quantities against our monthly sales projections. Most teenagers can barely remember their homework, much less manage inventory forecasting. Her kind eyes crinkle behind tortoiseshell reading glasses. At 72, she moves more slowly through the store but misses nothing. "Just doing my job," I mumble, uncomfortable with praise. "No," she says firmly. "You're doing exceptional work. And that mind of yours, especially with mathematics, it shouldn't go to waste." 2 months later, she calls me to the back office. "I've nominated you for something," she announces, sliding a brochure across her desk. The Prescott Foundation STEM Fellowship gleams in glossy font. Full college scholarship for promising students. You're going places, my dear, further than anyone expects. The envelope arrives thick and heavy on a Tuesday afternoon in April, my final semester of high school. My hands shake as I open it in our apartment kitchen. Dad isn't home yet, but I can't wait. The formal letter confirms what seems impossible: a full scholarship covering tuition, books, housing, and a stipend for living expenses. I grab my phone before thinking it through, dialing Mom's number for the first time in months. When she answers, background noise floods the linol laughter, music, the unmistakable sounds of a party. "Cassia?" She sounds surprised. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." My voice steadies. "I wanted to share some good news. I received a full scholarship for college." "That's nice," she says distractedly. "But we're planning Vesper's birthday and can't talk now. The caterers are setting up." The familiar ache rises, but something different follows, a strange lightness in my chest, like a balloon slipping free from my grasp. "Actually, I just called to let you know I won't need any money for college. I've got it covered." "Well, we would have helped if," she begins, her tone shifting to something defensive. "No, you wouldn't have," I interrupt, surprising myself with my calm certainty. "But that's okay, I don't need you to." The silence stretches between us, an ocean of unspoken truths. "I should go," she finally says. "Yes, you should." I hang up and stand motionless in our tiny kitchen. For years, I've carried her rejection like a stone in my pocket, its weight familiar and constant. But now, staring at the scholarship letter, I realize her approval isn't the currency I need to move forward. My worth isn't measured in her attention or validation. When Dad comes home, he frames the acceptance letter that evening. Not in an expensive frame, but one he restored from a yard sale, sanding away years of neglect to reveal beautiful grain beneath. He hangs it in our cramped living room, centered on the wall opposite my fold-out bed. "So you can see it first thing every morning," he says, his voice thick with emotion. Mrs. Haverford throws a small celebration at the bookstore the following weekend. She bakes a chocolate cake herself and presents me with a leather-bound journal and a fountain pen. "For recording your brilliant ideas," she says. My mother has never attended a single academic awards ceremony. Vesper complained loudly about my Honor Society induction running too long. But here in this dusty bookstore, surrounded by well-wishers who know my actual strengths and interests, I find something that feels suspiciously like belonging. When graduation day arrives 4 years later, I don't expect to see family beyond Dad in the audience. As valedictorian, I've rehearsed my speech repeatedly, timing each pause for maximum impact. The principal calls my name, and I rise from my seat, straightening my borrowed graduation gown. As I approach the podium, movement at the back of the auditorium catches my eye. A sleek car must have arrived late. The door is just closing. Scanning the crowd, I spot not my mother's perfectly coiffed hair, but Vesper sitting alone in the back row, her expression unreadable across the distance. My prepared words suddenly seem inadequate for this unexpected audience. 2 years after graduation, the morning sunlight splashes across our kitchen table, where Rowan hunches over blueprints, his work-worn fingers tracing electrical pathways. His focused expression softens when he notices me watching. "Think the Williams project will go for the expanded solar array?" I ask, sliding a mug of coffee beside his elbow. "With you designing the system? Absolutely." His confidence in me still catches me off guard sometimes. "Your promotion to project lead means they trust your judgment more than that overpriced consulting firm." I lean against the counter, savoring the warmth of both the coffee and his words. At 24, I've built something real, a career installing commercial solar systems that pays well and matters to the world. My fingers brush against the smooth countertop of our modest kitchen, still new enough that sometimes I wake up surprised to find myself here, rather than on Dad's pull-out sofa. 2 years of saving every penny finally paid off, I say, surveying our little 2-bedroom starter home. Nothing fancy, just solid construction with good bones, as Rowan put it when we first toured it. Like our relationship built carefully over time, tested for structural integrity, grounded in reality. The phone rings, interrupting my thoughts. I frown at the unfamiliar number but answer anyway. "Cassia? It's your mother." My stomach tightens. Maribel hasn't called in over a year, not even for my birthday last month. "I need you to take Vesper," she announces without preamble, not asking telling. "She needs to focus on her conservatory training, and housing near campus is outrageously expensive." I grip the phone tighter. "Hello to you too, Mom. Don't be difficult, Cassia. You have a spare bedroom, and you're responsible enough to keep her on track. She needs structure." The audacity steals my breath. After exiling me to a laundry room and then shipping me off to Dad's when I became inconvenient, she wants me to welcome Vesper with open arms? "This isn't something you spring on someone out of nowhere," I manage, keeping my voice level while Rowan watches with concern. "We have our own lives here." "It's just for the school year," Maribel continues as if I hadn't spoken. "You'd be doing us a tremendous favor." "Us meaning you and Corbett?" I clarify, my tone sharpening despite my efforts. A telling pause. "We need to focus on networking without distractions. This arrangement works perfectly for everyone." Translation. Vesper has become inconvenient, just as I once was. 2 months, I say finally. A trial period, with house rules she'll need to follow. Maribel's relieved sigh carries through the phone. "Wonderful. I'll have her there next weekend." After hanging up, I drop into a chair beside Rowan, suddenly exhausted. What did I just agree to? He covers my hand with his. "You set a boundary, that's progress." "Am I making a huge mistake?" I ask, letting family who closed their doors to me into our home. "We'll handle it together," he promises, squeezing my fingers. "This is our house, our rules." Later that evening, Dad brings over a homemade lasagna, listening intently as I explain the situation. His weathered face tightens when I mention Maribel's demands. "Kindness shouldn't come at the cost of your peace," he warns gently, helping Rowan rearrange furniture in the spare bedroom. "You've built something good here. Protect it." Together, we draft house rules: curfew, chores, respect for our work schedules, no unauthorized guests. Each point feels like a fortress wall rising, protecting what Rowan and I have created. When Vesper arrives the following weekend, she steps from Corbett's Jaguar with 3 designer suitcases, her critical gaze sweeping over our modest neighborhood. "This is it?" She wrinkles her nose, not bothering to lower her voice. "It's so small." "It's home," I reply simply, helping with her smallest bag while Rowan takes the largest. That night, passing the guest room, I overhear Vesper on the phone. "It's tragic, Maddie. Like, embarrassingly basic. No pool, not even a decent bathroom. I'm dying here." My chest tightens with an old, familiar pain, that feeling of being judged and found wanting. The first week passes in tense politeness that fractures when Vesper's conservatory calls asking about her repeated absences. "You skipped 3 classes this week?" I confront her when she slinks in past midnight, smelling of cigarettes and someone's cologne. "Why do you care?" she snaps, tossing her purse onto the counter. "It's my life." "It's our house," I remind her. "And one of our rules was..." God, you sound just like Mom when she's on one of her responsible kicks. Vesper rolls her eyes. "Mom said you'd be cool about everything. That's the only reason I agreed to this." The truth spills out so casually it stings. Not because Vesper came seeking sisterly connection, but because Maribel promised I'd be a pushover. I stand straighter, feeling the weight of my house keys and my pocket keys to the home I earned, the life I built. Then Mom was wrong about me. Again. A flicker of uncertainty crosses Vesper's face, as she realizes, perhaps for the first time, that the sister who once slept in a laundry room now stands on her own foundation, one too solid to be easily shaken. Next week, I catch Vesper leaning too close to Rowan as he replaces the kitchen pendant light. Her manicured hand rests on his forearm, her laughter explosive at something he said that wasn't remotely funny. "The wiring in this house is so complicated," she gushes. "You must be like super smart to understand all this electrical stuff." Rowan shifts uncomfortably on the stepladder, his focus locked on the exposed wires above. "Just basic principles, really. Your sister understands this better than I do." When he finishes and descends, Vesper blocks his path to the toolbox, standing in the doorway with a practiced casualness. I clear my throat from the dining room. "Vesper, can we talk?" My voice remains steady despite the heat crawling up my neck. In the living room, she transforms before my eyes. The flirtatious smile vanishes, replaced by trembling lips and watery eyes. "I was just being friendly. Why are you so insecure?" Her voice pitches higher, a performance I recognized from childhood. "He was telling me about the house wiring, and I was listening. Is that a crime now?" "This isn't about being friendly, it's about respect for me, for Rowan, for our relationship." My phone buzzes an hour later. Maribel. Perfect timing, as always. "Cassia, what on earth are you doing?" Her voice slices through the speaker. Vesper's in tears. "She called saying you accused her of something ridiculous. The poor girl was only trying to connect with your boyfriend." The dismissive pause speaks volumes. That evening, I find Vesper's diamond tennis bracelet eerily similar to my mother's resting on Rowan's workbench in the garage. The next morning, she positions herself in the hallway as he tries to leave for work, talking about a gallery opening, asking if he might like to accompany her. "Rowan's clearly into me," she says when I confront her later, tossing her hair over one shoulder. "He deserves better than someone who grew up in a laundry room." The words land like a physical blow, but I refuse to flinch. "You have 30 days to find other arrangements," I say, my voice calmer than I feel. "This isn't working." Vesper's mouth drops open. "You can't be serious." "I am. 1 month." "You're overreacting. Nothing happened." Rowan enters from the kitchen, his face uncharacteristically stern. He hands me his phone, open to a string of text messages. "I think you should see these," he says quietly. The texts from Vesper start innocently enough, but quickly cross into territory that makes my stomach clench. Invitations to meet when I'm working late. Comments about my boring career choices. A photo of her in a swimsuit with the caption, "What do you think?" Vesper lunges for the phone. "Those are private. You had no right to show her." "I have every right," Rowan says, his voice level but firm. "I chose Cassia, not for connections or a family name for her. Her brilliance, her integrity, everything she is." His hand finds mine, warm and steady. "You can't kick me out." Vesper's voice rises, panic replacing the calculation in her eyes. "Mom will be furious. Where am I supposed to go?" "Back to the mansion, I imagine," I reply. "The same place I wasn't welcome." "But the conservatory is a 10-minute drive from your parents' house." "This isn't fair," Vesper's face contorts. "I'll tell Mom everything. She'll cut you off completely." A laugh escapes me, genuine and unexpected. "Cut me off from what, exactly? I've been on my own since I was 14. Vesper stares, confusion replacing anger. "I'm not responsible for your mother's feelings," I continue, just as she was never responsible for mine. The weight of years lifts as I speak the truth aloud. That weekend, as Vesper packs her designer luggage with theatrical sighs, Rowan takes me to our favorite spot overlooking the river. He kneels on the weathered boardwalk, presenting a simple ring with a small emerald me birthstone. "I want to build a life with you," he says, the setting sun turning his auburn hair to flame. "A real one, based on who we are, not what anyone else thinks we should be." 6 months later, with Vesper long gone, Rowan and I prepare for our wedding in Dad's backyard. The maple trees promise perfect shade for our 50 guests, and Dad's hand-painted signs mark the ceremony and reception areas. I dial my mother's number, an olive branch extended despite years of distance. "A backyard wedding?" Maribel's voice drips with disdain when I describe our plans. "Why would I attend a backyard cookout for nobodies? Marrying a cable puller? Enjoy that, Cassia." The casual cruelty feels almost nostalgic in its predictability. "Thank you for making my decision easy," I reply. "Goodbye, Mother." I hang up and return to arranging wildflowers in mason jars. Dad whistles as he strings lights in the trees, and Mrs. Haverford arranges her homemade pies on the dessert table. Meanwhile, Vesper's wedding proceeds with appropriate extravagance. Dad shows me the society page announcement of $460,000 spectacle, joining the Langley and Westmoreland families, complete with ice sculptures and a 12-piece orchestra. Our wedding costs exactly $7,823, including the dress I found at a vintage shop and altered myself. Rowan's electrician colleagues string fairy lights through Dad's garden. My coworkers bring potluck dishes alongside their wedding gifts. When we dance our first dance on Dad's weathered deck, surrounded by people who chose to stand by us, I realize my worth isn't measured by a wedding's price tag, but by the authenticity of the relationships filling this space. 2 years pass in peaceful productivity. Rowan's business grows steadily. I earn a promotion at the solar company. We renovate our kitchen on weekends, arguing cheerfully about cabinet hardware and laughing when we mess up the paint. Then a rumor reaches us through Dad's friend at the country club. Corbett's land bank scheme is collapsing. Federal investigators have frozen accounts. The Langleys face financial ruin. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Family matters. M." I show Rowan the message, my hand steady despite everything. Before he can respond, my phone lights up with an incoming call, my mother's number, unused in my contacts for years. A week later, the soft morning light spills across our nursery walls where wildflowers dance in a mural my father painted last weekend. I smooth my hand over the rounded curve of my belly, feeling my daughter shift beneath my palm. Unlike my childhood bedroom that vanished without warning, this room has been created with intention, each detail, a promise that she will always have a place that's hers. The shrill ring of my phone breaks the moment. My mother's name flashes on the screen, and I notice my hand no longer trembles when I see it. "Hello, Mother." My voice comes out steady, unrushed. "Cassia." Maribel's voice wavers, lacking its usual polish. "We need to talk about our situation." I wait, one hand resting protectively over my unborn child. "The bank foreclosed on the house," she continues when I don't fill the silence. "Corbett's investments, well, it's all gone. And Vesper's husband filed for divorce after he caught her with his business partner." I watch a robin land on our modest front porch railing. "I'm sorry to hear that." "Sorry?" Her voice rises. "We're family, Cassia. We need somewhere to stay." The old guilt doesn't surface as expected. Instead, a calm clarity washes over me. "And what exactly are you asking?" "We're not asking. Family takes care of family. We'll need your spare bedroom for me and the sitting room for Vesper until we get back on our feet." I think about the laundry room with its humming water heater and cement floor. How it felt to be 9 years old and disposable. "No," I say simply. "Excuse me?" The familiar sharpness returns to her tone. "My home isn't available to you. After everything I've done for you?" Her voice cracks with indignation. "I gave you life, Cassia. And then you took away everything else." The words come without bitterness, just quiet truth. "I've built this life carefully, and I won't dismantle it for people who treated me as inconvenient. You'll regret this." Her threat sounds hollow. "I might take you to court for elder neglect." I almost laugh. "You can try, Mother." The line goes dead. When I set my phone down, I notice Rowan watching me from the doorway, his work boots still dusty from the job site. He doesn't ask what happened. He already knows. The crunch of tires on gravel draws my attention to the window. Dad's pickup pulls into our driveway, the back covered with a tarp hiding something bulky. He's early, Rowan says, taking my hand. We meet my father at the door as he lowers the tailgate, pulling back the tarp to reveal a handcrafted wooden crib, the maple finish gleaming in the afternoon sun. Built it in the evenings after work, Dad says, his paint-stained hands running over the smooth rails. Thought my granddaughter should have something special. My eyes blur with tears that have nothing to do with my pregnancy hormones. It's beautiful, Dad. Together, the three of us carry the crib into the nursery. Dad tells Rowan about the techniques he used, offering to teach him when they finish the back deck next month. My husband listens intently, hungry for knowledge that can be passed down, not status that can be flaunted. Later, Rowan and I sit on our porch swing, his arm around my shoulders as the sunset paints our modest neighborhood in gold. The weight of his steady presence beside me feels like the home I never had in my mother's mansion. We may not have a mansion, I say, leaning into him, but we built this with love and that's enough. He nods, his hand joining mine over our growing daughter. In the nursery behind us, Dad's handcrafted crib waits beneath a mural of wildflowers. Across the hall, Rowan has set up a small workshop where Dad is teaching him sign painting techniques during weekend visits. We're creating something my mother never understood: a home built on constancy rather than convenience. As I feel my daughter kick beneath my hand, I wonder, do we owe family who discarded us just because we share DNA? I chose to protect my peace and my child's future. But what would you have done when faced with the people who once called you disposable?